morning. Welcome to the Interns, a podcast by the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg. This week's COVID Spotlight will focus on New Zealand. The Around the World in 90 Seconds segment will focus on the toughening of sexual violence in Europe. Our main discussion is about the increasing racism in sports.
Now, Around the World in 90 Seconds.
Spain recently said that non-consensual sex is rape, and so it's toughening sexual violence laws, because originally they had a yes means yes model of whether or not something was sexual assault, but after the what's known as the Wolfpack case, in which 5 men gang raped an 18-year-old woman because she didn't say no specifically, it called for reform laws on sexual violence, and there was lots of protests to change those laws. So now they are changing that and are changing to say that silence or passivity does not mean consent, which is definitely a good thing. And stalking and street harassment, which used to be considered misdemeanors under the current legislation, will become crimes instead of being said misdemeanors.
Now the COVID spotlights.
I did my research on New Zealand. So they began to take very early COVID measures with only a few cases. So that was self-isolation on arrival, and they closed off all their borders to foreigners. And what they did was they used a 4-stage alert system, which is what they used to use for wildfire alerts. And they began on a level 2 in March. It rose to a level 4, and that's sort of how they communicated. But then they went on a nationwide lockdown, and that was only essential services could go out. They had reached a very low peak, and I guess they used the time when they were in lockdown to make sure that to utilize extensive contact tracing and COVID testing. So they were able to do about 10,000 tests a day. And although they were very successful in containing the virus and now they're almost back to normal, a lot of people question the mental health of everybody in New Zealand because they were in lockdown for so long because of their strict measurements. But they did contain the virus pretty well, and they're back to normal for the most part, but they're still not accepting any foreigners. So
now for the main discussion segment.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode, another podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Joseph, and I'm with...
My name is Anisha Peruta.
I'm Lindsay Becker.
I'm Marushi Dadium.
And you have Lindsay Becker. So today we're going to talk about the racism that's been happening all over Europe, especially because of the Euro 2020 Cup, I'm pretty sure. So for those of you who don't know what happened, basically 3 soccer players missed the penalties at the overtime of the Euro 2020 Cup. And because of the color of their skin, they're black, they're now being abused for missing the penalty kicks. And England is now facing big global, attacks on racism against black people. And today we're discussing our opinions on what's being happening, and we found articles discussing what we think happened. Anyone want to take it away?
I'll go. So correct me if I'm wrong. So that was if they did make that goal, then they would have won.
Correct, yeah.
So from what I've heard, there's a lot of messages, especially in social media. Twitter had to remove over 1,000 abusive messages towards English soccer stars after that loss. And I saw another article from CNET, and it was talking about how just social networks in general are struggling to shut down all of the racist abuse. And I think it's like really interesting because you don't think like something like a soccer game, like regardless of the color of their skin, like anybody could have missed that shot. So I feel like it's kind of a clear example of racism, and I think it's hard to like see that because it's 2021 and we're trying to be more inclusive, and I feel like there's been a lot of efforts to do that, and I feel like sometimes like people will say like you see more racism like in America versus like Europe or Asia. So it's just interesting to see how it's still a struggle in other places of the world and it's not just America.
The article I found said that 5 people had been arrested after racially abusing the footballers online, and that, what is his name? The Prime Minister Boris Johnson promised to ban people guilty of sending racist abuse from attending further matches. I don't know how he's going to be able to actually do that though, but...
And I found something that one of the players that got affected by this, like his name was like Rashford, and he had a campaign to fight against child poverty, and it like the British government like took this and restored lunches for many children who face poverty. And then after like the game, his face got spoiled. He had a mural like in like I don't know where, but like it got trashed just because he missed the goal.
I did hear about the mural, and that's so unfortunate because it's like he's helping out in other ways, and it's not really like you can't blame somebody, especially in sports, I feel like, for things not going the way that it's planned.
So thank you. I didn't find anything specific. I wasn't going to look at any newspapers or anything, but I'm going to start this discussion really just saying that, you know, a lot of celebrities like Tom Holland, I saw his post on it, and Millie Bobby Brown, and they were like really just being conscious of the efforts that these people, fans from England, are taking against these, you know, black people, because they didn't do anything. These black soccer players, they didn't do anything, and all they did was, you know, they're 19 years old, and for like that pressure, they could have, you know, the last penalty, you know, you have everyone breathing down your neck, and you're about to make this goal, and it really depends upon like everything you've done. And these people, they work so hard, like they're practicing every day, like morning, they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to just practice and practice and practice. And for them to miss a goal, and that's like everything to them, that's already a mental like defamation, if you know what I'm saying. Like it's like a block. So, you know, for people to go at them for what they did, they definitely know what they did was wrong, and like it was really important to them and their country. But for them like to go after them for what they did, I think that was awful. And really, because they're black, that's even worse. So
I agree with that. And it's just because, you know, if they would have scored and if England would have won, then it would have been a completely different outcome, and they wouldn't be blaming anybody, and they wouldn't be racist. And it's just, it's understandable to be upset that your team didn't win, but it's a whole nother thing to go after people for stuff that has nothing to do with the sport and nothing to do with the issue that they're mad about. So I don't like what's going on.
And like some celebrities that were from England said like we love you, like to those soccer players, because of the racism they like had to go through.
Yeah, and I think like you can see that people are coming together more because of what's happening. You like George Floyd incident, you got the Black Lives Matter protests, and really everyone coming together. You have celebrities, you know, people that came out of the cage supporting, you know, black lives, and, you know, you listen to black music, therefore, you know, you support black people, and, you know, all these protests, all these social media campaigns. And then for it to happen again in England, and to go the way they did, like, you know, England doing the things they did, I think it's horrible, because because we just came out of the situation with George Floyd. For them to bring back, the racism against Black people, I think that's horrible. That's just like, it's just going another level at this point.
I agree. And I think we touched on it earlier, but just how a lot of people say like Europe is less racist than America, yet you have stuff like this happening where it's blatant racism because they didn't get what they wanted. And it just, like, it's not okay. And it also just makes me wonder, like, it's disheartening to young athletes who maybe want to go professional but are worried about what other people are going to do and say to them, because they look at people who are more similar to them. So if you're Black and you're looking up to a Black soccer player, and then all of the backlash and all of the hate that they're facing just because they didn't score a goal, that's a lot of pressure. And I feel like it's going to discourage a lot of kids from wanting to go pro in something that they're passionate about.
Right. I completely agree on that. I think for us to accuse these kids who really dedicate their lives on the sport, I think it's so overwhelming at this point that it comes in a constant pace of like problems. Like, why is it going through social media? Why is it going through like the TV? It's like, it's a problem that we should have fixed when the Black Lives Matter protest started and ended. And the fact that it's still going on, the fact that like racism still exists, and it's still like a target against black people, Black Americans, and just any color, not just Black people, but it's the thing that still exists. It's just horrible. And the fact that we thought that we took it away, we thought like we are trying to change that when like the Black Lives protest hits, seeing the racism that's going against them, I think that lets us aware, like we are aware now that it's not gone, and it's still going to happen, even if we try to stop it. How much we try, like, it's still not going to go away, and racism is still like a thing, and we need to find a way to minimize it as much as possible.
I completely agree. And I've never understood racism. Like, it makes no sense. It's just the color of your skin. You're born with it, but it has nothing to do with who you are as a person. And I just don't get it. But also, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of stuff about racism in sports in America. And I just thought that was interesting to know that it's happening in other places around the world, like obviously with the Euro Cup. But I haven't seen a lot of stuff because like America is just so diverse, especially in sports. And I'm not sure, maybe I've like missed things or not, but I really don't think, like, I think it's just different. I don't know.
I think when it came to sports, right, America hasn't really been the country that really, like, you see LeBron James scoring basket. It's not like you're going to go up to him and say, oh, you're Black, therefore you have no rights in this country. You're not going to go up to him and do that because he's LeBron James or, Steph Curry. Like, you're not going to go up to them and say, the color of your skin, that's you're Black, therefore you have no rights. You're not going to do that because, they're that much level ahead of you. They're here and we're here. And it's not like, it's like we're kind of scared of them, and like all those underdogs, like all those people who are not LeBron James, who are not Steph Curry, like people from the hood. And I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm just saying like people who are living in conditions that are far worse than LeBron James or Steph Curry, they're getting that pressure of, of their skin, of their color, of their race. And I think that's horrible. And people targeting them for who they are, that's horrible.
And that's like an interesting point to bring up because like LeBron James or Steph Curry, like it's almost like they had to earn that respect when you really shouldn't, because if you look at any other person, like any other white athlete, like they automatically have respect. They don't need to prove themselves to other people in the same way that somebody from a more diverse background does. And it's kind of like sad. And I just wish, like, I hope that we can, I think we've been better about it, but I think it's still something that's there, and I hope it's not always going to be there. But
yeah, it's like it's this constant thing where, like, you know, people of color needs to earn this respect through society, while white people, they just do whatever they want. And I hope that's not true in the future, because I don't want it to be true. But I hope that people don't have to do something to earn their respect, to, you know, be big in life, you know. And I think no matter the race, no matter the color, no matter your religion, right, you should be able to do whatever you want and do whatever you can, you know, to be yourself and to be that person that you really want to be.
yeah, I agree. And like you should judge somebody on their character. Like, if you're looking at an athlete and they don't do something well, they don't perform well, you're looking at like their training, their stats, like stuff that has to do with the actual sport, not the color of their skin, who their family is, like where they're from. And I think it's just like, it sucks that people don't really take that, like they look more at the stuff that doesn't matter, that has nothing to do with the sport. And I hope we can move forward with that, but there's just so many instances. Like, did you hear about the girl on a track team at Olympic trials?
Right. What's her name? I can search this up.
Yeah.
She took marijuana, right? But it wasn't affecting her. It wasn't affecting her, like, running. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't affecting her at all. And they took her out of the race, the 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
And people like also said that marijuana makes it harder for you to run really fast. So it would affect her negatively if she like used it during the race.
Yeah, and like, I'm not saying it's like I don't have an issue with like, you drug tested somebody, they tested positive, they can't compete. That's not my issue. My issue is more so like the media focused so much on that story rather than all of the good things that happened at Olympic trials, all of the young kids who like got there for the first time. I know there was another girl, I think she was on a track team as well, I don't remember her name, but she posted like she started like working at McDonald's, and like now she's going to the Olympics and stuff. And like, people aren't focusing on the good stuff that's coming out of like Olympic trials, the fact that we can even have an Olympics. And it's just like all of the negative stories, just that one story like is the cover of like every news page, but then it's like they're not really looking at all the good stuff.
I think it got so much popularity because that so many like actors, rappers, and you know, everyone just started reposting their story and saying stuff like, okay, how can you do that? You know, she's black, she doesn't deserve this. You know, marijuana doesn't affect her like running. It doesn't affect how fast she goes. She should be able to run. She should be able to go to the Olympics. And just like that horde of people really like voicing what they think, you know, really got the media aware of what they're trying to say, and that really voiced out what the media want to say. And I feel like that's the reason that girl specifically became the headlines and the news and stuff like that, because a lot of celebrities try to voice their opinions, and I think that's why it became such a headline and such news. So
I will say though, I think it would have been worse though if they let her compete, because then people are going to be saying like, you're making exceptions, like somebody tested positive for a drug test. So like, I understand that. So that was like, that's my thing. Like, I think it would have been a worse outcome had they
I agree with what you're saying. Like, if they let her like take marijuana and still compete, then more people will be like obligated to take like different other drugs too, and that can just cause more and more problems.
Right.
I agree.
I think we're closing to the end of our episode here. Does anyone have like last words they want to say about like anything really? Anyone? All right. Thanks for joining with us today on another episode in the interns, and I hope we can talk more.
Thank you for listening. Our episodes come out every Monday and Friday, so make sure to stay tuned for the next episode.